Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Clockworks Chatter. This episode is going to focus mainly on the montage, rather than anything Spiral Knights related. But first, I'd like to talk about my lack of Clockworks Chatter videos. Now, as you know, there's only been 2 episodes so far, but some of you have already suspected that this might have been a weekly series. That was kind of the intention, but I went through a little bit of a burnout phase with Spiral Knights. If you don't talk to me via Discord, you'd be out of the loop, but I've been playing Spiral Knights this entire year way too much, and eventually I was starting to reach a burnout period by late September, early October, so because of that, I lost a little bit of motivation to play the game, and also eventually I didn't record a video for Clockworks Chatter. And so because of that, I lost a little bit of motivation to play the game, and also eventually I didn't record a video for Clockworks Chatter. So some of you may be curious as to what I've been doing in that time frame. I have been doing a few things. I've been playing games I haven't touched in a while, playing new games like Super Mario 64 from the 3D All-Stars package, and getting a little too much rest. Like, there were some days I actually felt so lethargic I didn't even want to get out of bed. But I knew I wanted to get out of bed because I knew I would feel better, but I was so lazy and lethargic that I didn't want to. So you may be wondering, what drove you to make a montage out of the blue about Spiral Knight's lockdown playing as a guardian? There's a couple things. One, I'd been listening to some music a few days before, and I was like, this kind of puts me into a montage mood, because it was like all upbeat and exciting. I'm like, now I kind of want to watch and or make a montage. And none of the songs I used actually were the ones that gave me montage feelings, because I didn't want to risk copyright or deal with other parties. Another reason why I kind of wanted to do a montage was because my editing skills, if you know anything about editing, before they were kind of like poor and lackluster, you know, bare bones. But once I decided to get into this, I was like, this is a great chance to actually learn how to do better editing. So I learned how to green screen, I learned how to keyframe, learned cool little tricks about the editor that I can use to make editing a lot easier, all that stuff. It was quite the joyride, both in terms of just editing the video together and learning about all these amazing things I could do to make my videos better. So let's start talking about that. First off, I goofed. I completely forgot to set OBS to record desktop audio. And as I said in the beginning of the video, the way that OBS works is that it records everything from your computer. So if I recorded with my computer here instead of my laptop for Discord, it would have recorded all the audio from Discord, and even the live stream, because I was watching a live stream in the background as well while doing this, and it just kind of would have been eh. So I made sure everything that was verbal audio was on the laptop, and specifically set the computer for gameplay and what was going to be game audio, but I goofed and I forgot to turn on this, the recorder on for that. But surprisingly enough, the video still came out fine, even with no actual gameplay audio, which I'm really happy, because I thought this was going to be an absolute travesty, like, no game audio. That means I have to edit in so many sounds to make this all work, and surprisingly enough, no, I did have to edit in a lot of sounds, but it still came out surprisingly well, even without some audio in certain places. And speaking of audio, searching for clips, I think, took the most time, because I had to search for clips consistently as I did it. I didn't grab a load of clips, just have them compiled into a little file and just rip them out and put them in as is. No, I did this as I went along, so that way it just flowed as I went to work with it, instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna put this there, I think it's gonna go well there, but nah. It was trial and error, definitely, because there was a lot of clips I ended up either not being able to find, and or had to just cut out because it either didn't fit or it just felt too awkward. And there are even some clips I was like, man, this is going to fit amazingly well into the video. And then I had to just omit them from the video because the green screen for them did not work all that well, or it just turned out to be a muddled mess. An example of what I wanted to do earlier was in the part where it goes first blood, it's double kill, triple kill. I wanted to put the emblems on there from League of Legends, but whoever decided to put put that on the green screen used a weird shade of green. And even though the chroma key on the editor I use has a slider as to what shade of green you want, it still didn't end up working out well with the low and high thresholds. And eventually I just had to say, screw it, it's not going to work. So I had to work with different edits to make that scene work. Another example of I probably could have done something a bit better was the Genji part where he screams his ult. The Overwatch death animation there, it's not that hard to notice, but if you look, you can see it's muddled with green on the sides. I was not too happy about it, but I'm like, this has to be here if I want to complete the Overwatch reference. And I couldn't find any other one, but between the shade of green they used for the green screen and my ability to use a green screen could definitely been better. Overall, I think a lot of the video effects I put into the video came out pretty well. What I'm particularly happy about was the reference to Fire Emblem Heroes with Michaelis. That, I think it came out really well, and if I put Michaelis into more videos, you'll know why. Simply because I thought that edit was amazing. So, if you notice, towards the end of the video, I ended up not being so edit-centric and ended up using a lot more sound effects. There's a couple reasons for that. One, the montage was it was meant to be more of a combat montage, so I didn't want to oversaturate it with crazy editing and video effects. Because after all, it's meant to be about the 1v1s rather than the visual flair and gags of the game. So that's why I opted to use more sound effects for that. But also, I started running out of creative ideas as to what to use for video effects. So I was like, man, I'm struggling. That was an area of revision that I had gone through multiple times. And even asked some people, what should I put here? They didn't have anything to say, but yeah, it was a bit rough towards the end, I'll say that much. Speaking of the end of the video, I'd like to give another thanks out to Lego Build for, one, joining us for Guardian Meta. It was a lot of fun playing with you, but also for letting me use your live stream footage as well, so that way I can have that nice little gag with the prize box at the end. Let's talk about a little bit of the editing process now, because this wasn't all done in one day, is generally how I can do these Clockworks Chatters videos, because it took one night of recording, start the editing, slave away a few days, and it was all done. But going into more in depth on that, first part was obviously picking out clips. There were a ton of clips that I had to cut out of the video. Otherwise, it would have been a 20-minute montage, and I've never heard of a 20-minute montage in my life. And also, I'm not even sure if I would have enough songs to really fit the video. Because there were so many at first, it was along the lines of, yeah, it's going to be a kill montage for Guardian Meta. But I'm like, no, I kind of want this to be a bit memey. Because I've seen some of the other lockdown montages, and they're all kind of the same thing. And that's not to trash them or anything. I'm just I wanted something a bit different, because they're all hyper kill focused with intense music, either copyright free or intense music, and it was mainly focusing on their skill. Here I was I want to do something a bit fun with the video, because those are the types of montages I like, is fun but still good gameplay. Although to be fair, that really wasn't fantastic gameplay. And so I'm what are clips that either are kill-based or fun? I end up going through 20 to 30 clips. I had to cut out a third of them because I just didn't see them fitting within the video, or the length was too long to really warrant them being in the video. Even with the top platinum part of the video, I had to omit like 3 or 4 different clips because I'm like, man, I already used 2 songs for this. It's already a bit too long, and I actually did cut out like a minute of the second song for that segment of the montage where it was just build up. I'm like, I don't want build up for that part of the video. So it sucks because like a lot of those were actually really good moments, and just to see him get omitted like that just kind of put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But the video still came out really well, which made me happy. Another thing about editing the video was using actual other videos within the actual montage, because I used 3 different clips from 3 different shows, and like, this is going to be really good. And I actually talked to some friends about it, like, no, you're going to hit with a copyright strike. It's going to be a strike against your channel if you keep it more than 5 seconds. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me get this straight. There are people who just upload these clips onto YouTube and don't suffer any repercussions. They've got like millions of views, it's been up there for a few years, and you're telling me I take that video, cut it down to like 6-7 seconds, and I'm going to get copyright strike against my channel for that. No, I'll just leave it as is. But the more I started editing them, the more like, you know what, I don't want to risk this. I'm just going to cut them down to 5 seconds or less, and I try to keep them a little less than 5 seconds. So that was another part that irked me, but I think also for the video, it worked out better in that case, because that way you didn't have to sit through 16 seconds of JoJo and Dio talking, and you can get right back to the gameplay. Another thing that kind of irked me a little bit was like, will I get potentially struck for some of these sounds that I'm using? I made sure that a lot of these were either from video games that people have used before, or they're copyright free, but there were some I'm like, should I put them in the video for either questionability's sake, because there was one part that I was a little weird about, or am I going to get hit with some audio claim or whatever? Because there were a lot of clips I actually used from certain games. Like I happen to use a lot of Sonic for some reason. I use a lot of Fire Emblem Heroes and Fire Emblems in general, which they just happen to have good sounds. I'm just going to put it bluntly. I think another area that was also a sort of hit or miss depending on how much you know about editing was the keyframing. I feel like in some spots it was either really good or just really kind of a craptastic job. Like in the second clip with the rocket puppy, I think that one was a bit rough, but that was also the first clip I worked with for keyframing. So I think it's got a little bit of leeway on that, but yeah, no, I'm like, the more I look at this through revision, which I did a lot, I watched the video at least fully like 5 to 10 times. I'm like, the more I watch this, the more I'm like, this looks kind of crappy, but it'll do for now. I think there was a couple times I wanted to revise it, but I just kind of left it alone. And then there were some other spots I thought were really good, like right at the end when I shot the magma driver charge and it hit Lego. I thought that was actually really good. It looked really smooth. But keyframing, as I've heard from some other people, can either make or break a video and how good it will look. So I think that's just something that I'll improve with over time. Man, I'm only just now realizing this. I'm saying a lot of ums and likes. It's not very characteristic of me, but with me doing it late at night as I am, and not being used to this sort of thing, I think that might throw me off a little bit and make the video sound a bit more weird, because I'm trying to do this a bit more less edited, like not as many segments. I'm trying to do this more on the fly rather than like maybe think of what I want to say and write it down and then talk about it, which I think for this video is working out really well. But yeah, no, I need to stop with the likes and ums. But I think overall, the montage came out really well for a novice level editor like me, and I'm actually really happy to see it's been received well by a lot of people. So I kind of want to do another one in the future if I ever get around to recording more Guardian meta. But we'll see as to how that'll roll out as time goes on, because I know not everyone that participates in Guardian meta actually is able to get on at that time. Because even when we did it for this video, a couple members still could not get on because life was getting in the way, and that's perfectly fine. It just depends on when it's going to be held and when almost everyone is able to get together. Oh, and also, this video actually ended up having a bit of a casualty as well. I think because I slaved away for 3 days caused me to put so much pressure on my right armrest for my chair, because that's just how I lean in my chair. I think I put so much pressure on it the past 3 days that I ended up putting so much stress on it that it just snapped off. So now I'm just sitting in a chair with one armrest and I mean it still works, but it's like, man, this sucks. It's weird. So hopefully it doesn't happen again in the future with this one, otherwise I am going to have to get another chair. But I'd like to let it be note that this video has harmed people, and by people I mean this chair. So that was interesting. I think now would be a good time to talk about some of my plans for the future. While, yes, I still do have a little bit of burnout from Spiral Knights, I still do have a few ideas in the works as to what I can make for videos. I don't want to hold them off, but I don't want to say expect them too soon. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure where I want to go for other videos besides Clockworks Chatters, which that also may even be a bit questionable, considering, you know, burnout, and now with the holiday season starting to come up. It's going to be starting to get a bit more busy with school, family, all that stuff, so everything's going to be a bit up in the air, let's say that. It'll be done when it's done, as a YouTuber I know says. So we'll see where I go from there. I don't want to sound like I'm not necessarily giving you guys hope for anything in the future, but at the same time I don't want to not give you any hope for any sort of content, but you know what? Here's a good question. Would you be interested in seeing other sorts of content in this video, on this channel? Sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. Because there's a lot of games I've been wanting to play at the moment, and, well, I don't want this to be a specifically SK-only channel, even though most of my content, what I want to do is mainly SK. So I don't know, would you guys be interested in the idea of me uploading just, like, one LP off to the side, LP being Let's Play, still have the podcast, and maybe, like, whatever Spiral Knights videos come out as well? I don't know. Let's have a discussion on that in the comments below, because I'm teetering on the fence, because I like having this be a predominantly SK channel at first, but I know if I want to, because I kind of want this to grow into more than just like a hobby thing in the future. So leave your opinions down below, and I'll try to respond to all of them. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. I decided to choose a bit of a longer gate, so that way I could talk about stuff for a bit longer, but also I wasn't expecting my game to play to be a bit rusty, let's put it at that. So that way you get a longer video to make up for last episode's shorter, really short time. So hopefully you enjoyed my spiel, and I'll try to get back into the swing of things when it comes to Spiral Knights. We'll see how it goes, if I'm still burnt out, or if I get interested into the game again. That sounds like I don't want to play the game anymore. Get remotivated to play the game. There we go. Also, sorry if my tone of voice sounds a little different or excited this episode. I think I just got really excited to talk about the montage. I just had to write or record another episode of Clockworks Chatter just to talk about the montage, give my opinions on it, or talk about how you guys felt about it and all that stuff. I know some people put podcasts on to just relax and calm down while having something to listen to. Some people, like me, just put it on in the background so that way they have something to listen to while they're doing something like homework or playing a video game. So if I sound a bit much this episode, I apologize, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Clockworks Chatter. I'll do my best to try and get another episode out, hopefully soon. It all depends on whether if I still feel motivated or not. So we'll see how that goes. But on that note, we've finally reached the terminal. Basil never really had anything interesting for me to buy, so I just kind of quickly glossed over it and just moved on. But with that, I'd like to wish you guys a farewell. Goodbye.